What's going on, everybody? Boilon here, and welcome back to another video on Marvel Strike Force. In today's video, we are going to be doing our long-awaited tier list for patch 8.0. Yes, we are in the middle of the Spider Society patch, and I think now is a great time to finally do this. I've been putting this off for a couple of weeks now, and the last one that I did was like in mid-December, so I think it's about time. So we'll be talking about all of the best characters in Marvel Strike Force that you should be paying attention to and why. But before we get to that, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. Hey everyone, today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. Now, you may have seen them before here on my channel, and that's because you have, when I was advertising their amazing graphic shirts that I am still even wearing those today. But today we're here to talk about their brand new line of pants that I think that you'll all enjoy. I was kind enough to receive a pair of these pants to share with you guys. I have a clip that I had my family help record of me being outside. I know, the horror, right? But I thought it was the best place to show off how they fit and look. They are very comfortable with a premium 4-way stretch fabric and good for any occasion, whether you're looking for something new to wear to the office or go on a night out. These pants are a perfect choice. These pants are also very breathable and have hidden zippered pockets that you won't even notice they're even there. Also, don't be concerned whether or not they'll fit your waist size because they are true to their word. And don't worry if you're not super into black, there are quite a few other colors to choose from as well. I do also want to use this opportunity to let people know that if you are interested in getting some discounted shirts, there is going to be a huge sale until the end of April 15th, worth up to 70% off. Also, don't forget to use the link on screen and in the description below to get an additional 10% off as well, and you'll be helping support this channel at the same time. So if you want to both get some awesome new clothes and show your support, then what are you waiting for? Alright, now back to the video. Now for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be using a kind of a full screen mode scene that I have here. This is the image of my tier maker tier list that I made. This will be available on my Discord channel as well. Later on this evening, probably. Normally I post it in the evening so that people have some time to digest the video. But we're going to be breaking this down. If you guys remember my old tier list, if you've been around for a while, I had a couple of different categories, which I've now since slashed. And so now I've just kind of made it into, we have 4 categories. We have the Crucible and War category. We have the Raid Characters category. And this is the category for the people who are they're not the S tier characters of their team, but they're still obviously important to have. And then we have the Big Boy Apocalypse Chase, plus what I call the miscellaneous Gear 17 plus. So there's a handful of characters that are not Apocalypse related that you might still want to build up. And we'll talk about that. And then I have at the very top, which we'll get to at the end, the G18 plus, DD67 arena type characters. And there's a few special characters in there, but we're going to start from the bottom first. So let's talk about the miscellaneous Crucible and War section. Now, this is basically, these are the best characters that you can use for either Cosmic Crucible or for Alliance War. They're not all that great outside of that game mode or their particular game mode. But if you really favor one of these modes, whether it's Alliance War or Cosmic Crucible, these are teams and characters that you're going to want to build. And we're going to go right across the top here. And so we have Cabal, obviously. Cabal are super strong. Now, I made a video recently how you can, kind of do Cabal on a budget. If you want to do G14, 15 Cabal and kind of just use them to enable other characters, they're really good at that. You don't really need to build them to the moon. I don't think that they have a ton of extra value outside of Crucible at this point in time. There was speculation that they're for a legendary event or back in the day, and then now, I don't say back in the day, but a while ago anyways, that got removed. So it is what it is there. Now we have the 2 characters from Out of Time, namely Cosmic Ghost Rider and Starbrand. I've been personally disappointed with them outside of Alliance War. I don't have them built pretty heavily, and maybe that's why. But I don't think that they have a ton of value in Cosmic Crucible. Maybe when they become farmable, like maybe they're super amazing at 7 yellow, 7 red, or with diamonds. But like as of right now, for a free-to-play version of like 3 and 4, I don't see the personal value from these characters. And I don't think if you really highly value Alliance War, you're going to be building them, though. They are for the next legendary event, the Out of Time. But personally, I'm going to be leaving these guys at like gear tier 15. And then I'm going to carry it with Black Knight and hope for the best. I think that Black Knight, probably with Cap and Peggy Carter, is going to be able to carry that event. But that's just me. And then we have the Undying set of characters. They're here, obviously, Alliance War based. You might get some value in Crucible, but I don't think there is. I don't personally have Zombie Juggernaut leveled yet, and yes, I know this video is coming out at a time where Kiln is coming up, and so you might need to level these guys a little bit, but if you want to build them up even higher, it's more for Alliance War. Then we have New Warriors, the 4 of them there. Deathpool is further up there for the Apocalypse Chase. As much as I still use them in Crucible, I think it's a bit late, honestly, for a lot of players to consider building them for Cosmic Crucible. I think that we should be more forward-facing. They're over a year old now, I think, at this point, and so I tend to want to focus on characters that are within the last 6 to 9 months. There's some exceptions that apply that I'll note above, but otherwise I try to be more forward-facing, especially for new players when it comes to new player accounts and the characters that you should be focusing on, which is another reason why the other Masters of Evil characters are down here as well, because I don't think that you should be really focusing on them either for any account at this point in time. Titania is probably a better version of, like, they're to go alongside Kang, who's going to be further up there as well. But Titania is over here because I do think that she's a bit better than these other 3 characters here. Just my thoughts. Nova and the Nowhere team. I've made my thoughts very clear about the Nowhere team. I just don't think that there's a ton of value outside of Nova in other game modes. And once this next legendary character comes out, I don't think there's going to be a reason that you're going to want to build Nova, in my opinion. I think that for Dark Dimension Legendary Lane, you're going to have more than enough legendary characters that you can use that doesn't include Nova, especially once this next one comes out, which is going to be pretty soon, I think, within like a month. So there's that. Just not a big fan of Nowhere. Very locked to war, like very, very locked to war, and they're trash in Cosmic Crucible. So then we have that was still Nowhere. A Spider Slayer. Now he's an interesting one. He is farmable up to 7-star now, but the problem is that, like, I feel like unless you're super, super heavy into Cosmic Crucible, you can actually make a Sinister Six team with Vulture and Mysterio that do a lot of the same counters that you would with Spider Slayer. He is niche in a way, like you don't have to have him. You could still perform just as well without him. I do have him built though, but that's a lot of characters in the Sinister Six if you're doing 8, I think 7 characters, sorry, the 5 Superior 6 plus Vulture and Mysterio, who are both really solid characters for that team. And then finally we have New Avengers, who have their main use for unlocking Green Goblin Classic. But you don't really need to take them up too much higher. They are locked to war mostly. I haven't seen a lot of insane value out of them as much, unfortunately, because I do have them built up fairly high. Surprisingly, I don't normally do war teams, but I do have them in the G16, 17 range. So yeah, I haven't got a ton of extra value out of them though. And then I'm just going to put Deadpool here because even though at time of recording I don't have information on Mercs for Money, I think that they are going to be a war team. That's just my thoughts. And they're going to be a legendary war team. I think that's going to be the next. They're going to be like hopefully a much better version of Nowhere, or just in general better than the Nowhere team. That's what I hope. So moving on to the next category, we do have the Raids miscellaneous characters, sort of. So I'm just going to go, this is Bifrost. I don't really build Bifrost to exactly what you need to do for your current content. That's all I'm going to say, is it because while they're not out the window yet, they will be soon. Now that soon could still be like 3 or 4 months time, but I just would not build them to the moon. I would just take them exactly where you need to complete the raids that you're running right now. Now, we do have Pegasus 4, actually, in fact, all of them except for Kestrel as well. And it's not that they're bad. It's just that you would, if the same thing what I said about Bifrost, they are a much better team though. So you will get value in other game modes, especially Cosmic Crucible with Pegasus. It's just that you want to focus on Kestrel first. And then if you have the resources or you want to build them up higher, you can do so. Like I said, this is the gear 16, 17 plus category, right? So it's kind of like at least 16. You can take them higher if you want to, depending on what kind of raid content you're running. Cyclops, worst of the Extreme X-Men, but almost not 100% necessary, but I do have them at gear tier 18 anyways, just because I highly value raids. So if you do as well and you're doing top raid content, you're probably taking these characters to gear 18 because you're going to be using them for a little while. Pegasus is going to be used even longer than Bifrost, so take it for what it is. And then the other 3 Hive Mind characters of Red Goblin, Venom, and Carnage, they're very expensive. Venom and Carnage are very expensive to build, but I feel like they're going to be necessary once you've done everything else. Like once you're swimming in teal unique minis that you can kind of upgrade them, then you're going to want to do it eventually. I have them at gear 18. Hive Mind's a great offensive team, both in Alliance War and Cosmic Crucible, so you're not going to regret it. It's just that I would do the other characters first. That's all that this really means. And then I have Peter B. Parker. We're going to talk a little bit about Spider Society, even though they're not out yet. I think Peter B. Parker is probably the last character that I would focus on in terms of priority building. He's the healer, but he doesn't do a ton of debuffs. So while he's necessary because he's healing, it's just that he doesn't need to be built to the moon, in my opinion, because he does a crap ton of healing as it sits already. So he's going to be like the last focus of the characters. And then I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here. This is essentially all of the Apocalypse characters that you need. You have Gamma, you have Deathseed, you have Darkhold, you have Unlimited X-Men minus Gambit, who's up here in the good category, right? And then we have Deathpool, Spider Weaver, and I do have 2099 because he is old, but he is an enabler for Spider Weaver in the Tangled Web team, and I would still probably take him up to at least Gear Tier 16. I know this is the 17 plus category. He's not as important anymore, but I still think it's worth having him to a decent degree, so he's not dying right out of the gate. But his main usage is still enabling Spider Weaver. I still think he's worth building, though. I do really like his kit. Spider-Man Big Time. This is another one that might surprise people. I actually really like his plug-and-play potential. I have him at Gear Tier 18, and he's maxed out at, it's not quite level 100. He's like 95 or something, or 97. But he's still pretty high up there. I find a lot of value of plug-and-play for him in Arena. Yes, in Arena, believe it or not. He should be up there probably, but I'm going to put him down here for other people. And I use him in Cosmic Crucible as well. He can basically flip Black Knight. There's very few characters that he can't flip because he gets like 10,000% focus on his ultimate and he flips that. So some pretty big, like he destroys tanks and then he puts disrupt on them and he flips the buffs like right at the start of the gate. So, I've used them a lot for like countering Miss Marvel Hardlight and Black Knight. So, I'm a big fan of Big Time, but I know not a lot of other people are. We have Miss Marvel, Hardlight, and Photon, so they're falling off a little. Photon's definitely falling off. Miss Marvel, Hardlight, I think the reason why she's here, and again, this is not a bad category. This is kind of like Gear 18 after you've done Dark Dimension 6, like when you have the spare gear to do so kind of thing. Some of these would stay at 17, but I would still take Miss Marvel to 18. I just wouldn't do it immediately for Dark Dimension 6 City anymore because I think there's going to be a lot of other better picks. I'm not taking her to Dark Dimension 7 City, so she's probably just going to stay at 18. I'm not going to 19 her anytime soon. We have Captain America. We have Peggy Carter from Out of Time. They are probably the other best characters after Black Knight in that team that I think is still worth building. And then we have Mysterio, who I also still think he's worth building. He should have been lumped together with Lizard, who's over here. Again, two characters that I still think are worth building. Some people are taking Lizard to Dark Dimension 6 City and possibly 7 as well, but he was not my first pick. He's a good use of Bio Gear, but now I have other priorities now, which we'll talk about above for Bio. And then Tigra. I still like Tigra. She's the best character. If you're going to build New Avengers, make sure you build her to the highest first, or not to the highest, but like higher than the others. And so that's kind of the point of this. Quicksilver, great plug and play still, but he's losing a little bit of traction. And maybe that's because we need diamonds on him now. But I feel like I don't really have the best places to put him anymore, whether that's Cosmic Crucible and I'm not using him in Arena anymore. So he's kind of falling off a little bit. But I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments down below what you do with Quicksilver now and whether or not you still recommend him. And then Titania we talked about because he's alongside Kang. So let's move over now. I'm going to change my cam. But I'm going to go to move to the bottom. Moving to the bottom. I can show up. There we go. I don't know why the zoom's different, but anyways, this is the top of the tier list. So this is the G18, my Dark Dimension 6 and 7 picks, and my Arena picks. These are some of the best characters in the game, hands down, that you're going to want to level up for a variety of different reasons. We'll just start off. These are no-brainers, right? Do I need to explain this? Super Skrull, Apocalypse, Black Knight, Insane. Now we have the other members of the Extreme X-Men, the 4 here outside of Cyclops. I do think this is the single best team in the game right now. I think that they're multifaceted for a lot of accounts, new players and veterans alike. They just do so much. And so you're going to want to max them out. I think that you're going to want to use them also in Dark Dimension Global. In fact, I would just use the 4 of them and Black Knight. Honestly, I'm not even joking. In Global, like that's more than good enough because they're insane. Their synergy is insane. I don't really need to explain more because they're just great. Sunspot just really amps their damage up and they get so much charges, ability energy, like out the wazoo. It's just insane. Doctor Doom, he's up here because of Dark Dimension 7 Mythic. You only need 4 characters for DD7 Mythic now. So whether or not you want to take Doom or take Dormammu, that's entirely up to you. They're both up here for similar reasons. And so that's why they're up here. Not saying you need to do both now, because you only need 4 mythic characters, not 5. So take that with a grain of salt to decide who you want to do. And then we have Vol and Kestrel, amazing standalone characters from their team, from Bifrost and from Pegasus. I don't think they're going anywhere. You're taking them to the highest Dark Dimensions into Cosmic, both of them into Cosmic, but Kestrel goes into Mythic in Dark Dimension 7. Then we have Kang the Conqueror, who is going to be that mainstay of the Masters of Evil. He's the one that goes to the moon. Titania is just kind of tagging along. And then if you use them with Cabal, it's just absolute insanity. So you're still taking them. I'm probably taking them to Dark Dimension 7 Cosmic still. Then we have Ghost Rider Robbie, who is the best character on the Secret Defenders. Honestly, he's probably better than Black Cat. Like, I just have to say, like, just his overall damage that he spits out is just crazy. So a lot of us are still also taking him to Dark Dimension 6 and 7 City. He's still a very solid character. Craven and Vulture, I feel, are actually some of the better characters on the Superior 6. I don't know why they were not lumped together, because Green Goblin and Doc Ock are over here. But anyways, the Superior 6, Sinister 6 team is just super amazing. I love Vulture. Also, he's a great candidate for Dark Dimension 6 and 7 City, or just any Dark Dimension City, frankly. And then we have Gwenom, who is one of my personal picks for Dark Dimension City because of her synergy on her skills with Spider-Verse characters writ large, which also includes any Sinister Six, or sorry, any Spider Society or Sinister Six characters that you decide to take into City. That's just great there. Void Knight, also an amazing character you can use in DD's Cosmic. And then we have Black Cat. So as far as legendary characters go, these are kind of the top legendary characters that I think that you'll be building right now for Dark Dimension. So Green Goblin Classic, Doc Ock, Black Cat, Omega Red, believe it or not, and the 5th unnamed character that is not going to be out yet. The other legendary character that's going to be out soon, who you're going to want to probably take. But if you do have to do someone else, it's probably going to be Nova. But you could, I don't know, you could do whatever you want at that point. I'm not going to recommend too many because I know there's another legendary coming soon. Ghost Spider and Noir also makes the top list. I recently bought a 1 diamond for them and I do not regret it. I'm getting a lot of value out of them, actually, surprisingly, in Misc Crucible. I am using the 2 of them with Out of Time, with Black Knight and Peggy and Cap, and I'm just demolishing people in room 1, and I plan on taking both of them to Dark Dimension 7 City because they're both cheap and they're part of Spider Society, and I know I'm going to have to build them up high anyways. And then finally, we have the Eternals, which are a duo that are kind of, they're falling off, but they're just so good in a lot of range of places. I know that some people don't use them as much as I do, but I took them to Gear 18, and I don't regret it. I'm still able to do a lot of things with them, and I think that they're really, really great. I'm just waiting for those new Eternals to drop. I'm still holding on there, right? So I think they're really good for Dark Dimension Cosmic as well, but I'm just getting a lot of use out of them overall in the game, and they're the best. I think they're the best duo in the game. I was trying to think of other ones, but there isn't really because Cabal's like a threesome. And then finally, we have Penny Parker and Spider-Man Pavitra, who are going to be out very soon. Now, Penny Parker needs to be built up very high because of her trauma mechanic that she has on her raids. I talked about this in one of my gameplay videos. She's not out yet, but when she does come out, she is going to be the one character that you're going to want to build to the moon. She's really important. The other ones, obviously, you're going to have like maxed out at 7/7 probably, or you should. And then Spider-Man Pavitra, I think, is going to have a lot of plug-and-play potential because he has on-spawn vulnerabilities even outside the Spider Society team. So really looking forward to using him, and I think it's going to be worth having that extra gear and stuff into him. So again, these are some of my top picks, and here's a little Easter egg because that is the avatar icon for Panda Pool, who again, being a somewhat, not an OG character, but it was a poll voted character. I think he's going to be really good, even though we haven't seen the kit. So I'm just going to put him here in advance. I'm going to future proof this tier list here for you guys. And Panda Pool, I'm just going to place some bets here that he's going to be super amazing. So that is my tier list. If they're not on this list, I don't think they're even worth investing in. As far as the bottom, this doesn't mean that they're dog shit, right? It just means that, only invest in them if those are the game modes that actually interest you. The rest of them, all this stuff is stuff that you're going to have to do at one point or another. And hopefully I did an okay job at explaining why you should be using them. But otherwise, I had to keep to less than 20 minutes because I didn't want to make it too long. But otherwise, feel free to leave a comment down below. And this tier list will be available on my Discord channel. Like I said, you can find it in the Boilon's resources channel, which is where I usually post this kind of stuff after videos go live. So until next time, everybody, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon, signing out.